So my name is Eric Moore, and I am on the most radical mission of all time. The mission to end extinction. This is not going to be easy, but it is going to be done, for we have to save life on our planet before it's gone, before it's too late. And how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to do this by finding the wild hero in all of us. Together, we are going to usher in a new nature, a new humanity, a coexistence like the world has never seen before. Right now, humanity has a choice to make, whether to continue killing the planet or start saving the planet. I think you know the answer, so do I. The only thing left to do is get wild. Now Jameson and I are going to head out for another fall picnic, and as we do so, we're going to tell you all about our adventures within lion country here in the state of Florida. We really dove into the last remaining wildernesses where these great cats are found in order to figure out what we can do to keep this animal from the brink of extinctions. We learned so much, and we have so much to tell you, but this is definitely not the place. Let's get out there, let's get wild.
Ben and I are currently going up the St. Johns River, one of Florida's most important rivers, and a river that has moved people up and down it for thousands of years. You see, way back when the first people of Florida first came to the state, they came in their big canoe, traveled up and down this great river, home to the mighty American alligator. But way back when, another hyper apex predator stalked the shoreline, a lion. And I'm not talking about an African lion, I'm talking about a mountain lion, or as they call it around here, Florida Panther. For the second part of my summer adventures, I dove in to the Florida Panther habitat and discovered the many different ways that the wild hero in all of us can help protect the state animal and one of Florida's most iconic residents. Check it out.
Okay, so for the next part of the adventure, we switch from looking for a croc from the land before time to looking for a cat that's out of time, the Florida Panther. And it's here in the big cypress preserve where you can find some of its last holdouts, along with the Florida Panther National Preserve just a little bit north of here, and of course the Everglades south. We've just come and traveled across the Peheoki, the River of Grass, the northern tip of what's called Shark Slough, a giant wetland to the east that covers miles and miles and miles. But now we've come out of the Everglades National Park and we came west to this area, and it's here that the cat of the swamp has his last hideout. This is the last place you can find the sunshine lion, which is a matter of fact the state's animal. Puma concolor, or a cougar, is a cat that owns a very big part of my heart. It was one of my first favorite animals growing up as a kid in Western Canada. So as we start cruising these dirt roads into cougar country, we have to make a little detour and pick up someone very important to us for the remainder of this expedition. And while I do so, check out these folks I've had the pleasure to work with who are dedicated to cats. And they have some clues for us that I'm sure will help us figure out solutions for protecting Florida Panther.
What's up? Eric here. We made it to the Central Florida Animal Reserve. We're gonna make a quick stop here for the afternoon and meet some amazing people and meet some amazing animal ambassadors for the cougar species. I'm finally so happy I get to show off this wonderful place. Being a volunteer here for the past 5 years has been a tremendous opportunity I've got to have, and you know, being around such amazing cat species is truly inspirational, but being around such dedicated volunteers is even better. Most of the workforce here who come out to help maintain and take care of these cats' health do so out of the goodness of their hearts. They take time out of their ordinary days when other people could be sitting at home watching TV, out playing with the kids. You know, they take their free time to get sweaty, to get dirty, to hang out with some beautiful species. And we're going to get the chance to meet the leader of them all, Simba Wiltz. Dr. Simba Wiltz has been a good friend of mine for a couple of years. And once he's finished up taking care of the cats today, he's going to take the time to speak with us and help us better understand the Central Florida Animal Reserve's mission, but also we're going to break down with some of the really, really cool residents. Hey Simba.
Hi, Eric.
Everyone, this is my really good friend, Dr. Simba Wiltz, the leader here of the Central Florida Animal Reserve. How are the cats today?
Doing well.
That's fantastic. Looks like they're managing the heat okay, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. So I am actually on a mission, and this is why I'm coming to you. I am in the hunt for Florida's elusive cat, the Florida Panther. Think you might be able to help me out with that?
I think we might have a couple of residents that can show you some things. Well, Tupa is a cougar. We don't know exactly which subspecies of cougar he is. He was part of a very large rehoming effort that took place last year in 2020, where there were a number of cats who were in need of homes. And Tupa did come to us as an effort to try to make sure that he would have the best quality of life he possibly can. He is a cougar, and the thing about cougars in general is that if you've been around a domestic cat, you have a pretty decent idea on some of the things that cougars may do. They are not exactly the same, but as the largest of the big cats that can purr, they can use a lot of very similar communication methods. So coming up behind us right here is Adora. She is a 12-year-old cougar, and she is in fantastic shape. She is about 75 pounds soaking wet, which is really a good size for a female cougar. It would be a good size for a Florida Panther if you were to find one out in the wild. And come on, hun. Yeah. There you go. There you go. What a good girl you are. Hi. So Adora came as part of a very large rehoming effort where there were 4 cougars that were in a circumstance that they needed to have a new home, and so we were chosen as the location to bring these cougars here to help both tell their story as well as to continue our educational mission to let people know about these species and what they really are about in North America. The Florida Panther species, what is now Puma concolor, is actually under very tight control by biologists, because we want to make sure that we aren't just sending cougars out into the wild at random that can conceivably breed with the Florida Panther and introduce other problems. This interbreeding of cougars has actually been used as a solution in the case when the Florida Panther got really, really small and really, really sickly. Cougars from Texas have actually been brought in to breed with the Florida Panther, increase their strength, and provide them better genetic material. And these efforts over the course of several decades have actually saved the Florida Panther. However, once they have gotten into captivity and see humans as a food source, it really becomes irresponsible to send them back into the wild, where it's possible that they could go and seek out other humans who may not be so friendly.
Leopards and cougars have a lot alike. They're both smaller size cats, well, medium sized. They're about the size of a golden retriever, just like Jameson. And the leopards over in Asia and Africa tend to be more solitary, similar to a cougar, hunting on their own, living on their own, only coming together during the mating season. Now, a lot of people have heard of the Black Panther, and a lot of people think that we have Black Panthers here in the state of Florida. I hate to say it, we don't. What most people see out in the wilds of Africa and Asia and sometimes South America are what we call melanistic cats. And melanism is similar to leucism or albinism, but it's just a slight modification in the genetics of the cat that changes the color, changes the pigment of their coat, and sometimes it's not entirely. Like if you were to look at Midnight behind me and you look at her shoulders, you would actually still see some spots, that natural leopard coloring. Jaguars are also known to have melanism, mainly the cats with spots. Cougars, not so much. Cougars have that nice brown color that helps them blend in with the natural terrains we have here in North America, but also where they live in South America. So Simba, as you and I both know, we take care of cats of many colors. We've got orange cats, we've got white cats, we've got brown cats, and we've got black cats. Now help me break down the difference between the leopard, a similar sized cat, to the North American cougar.
Great question. So the first thing that we talk about are some of the similarities. We're still talking about a feline species. They both have the retractable claws. They both are going to have your swivel ears and these fantastic teeth that she's actually showing us. The other thing that's very similar is that the cougars and the leopards are great leapers, and their body conformation is actually very similar to that. So if you watch Midnight walking around, you'll actually see that her hind end looks like it's a little bit taller than her front end. That's going to be the sign of a leaping animal because they've got so much power in those back legs to be able to jump. That makes leopards athletic, makes cougars athletic. Where your differences are going to be a little more subtle and anatomical. So whereas cougars cannot roar, the leopards actually can. And that all has to do with an anatomical structure of the bones that are in the larynx. Leopards and cougars tend to be pretty solitary. They both tend to be very successful, but they're not found in overlapping territories. The leopard is the cougar of the Asian and African continent, whereas the old world, and the cougar is kind of the leopard of the North American and the South American and Central American continent.
Yeah. One's like the cat of the East, the other is the cat of the West. So Simba, how can Americans take what the folks over in the leopard's native ranges, over in India, for example, what can we take away from there about coexistence? So as we start to bring the panther population hopefully back, how can we learn to coexist with cats and see them as not our enemies?
So this is a really important question because we face the exact same issue that they face in India here. And that is that we have our societies that we're building up with everything that comes with that, and that has to at some point interface with the wild territories. So when it comes to either India or it comes to Florida, there has to be a way for us to create adequate buffers that will allow us to interact with these species and coexist with these species safely. One of the biggest challenges, doesn't matter where you are in the world when it comes to conservation, is what is that number? That at some point there has to be a balance. And it's important to recognize that although this is of great interest to people who love the species and love to watch them and to find out how they're doing in the wild, there are very practical and real challenges that are faced by people who are ranchers, who make their lives off the land, who livestock is currency. And that becomes really important to recognize that there has to be a way that we can balance the needs of those groups with the needs of the wild species. Because they are going to be existing outside of that, that's where there are these special programs that are often in place for replacements. If, for example, a wild predator were to take a calf, calf predation is a big problem, particularly for the Florida Panthers. This is Koya. Koya is a 16-year-old cougar who has actually also recently joined us. And she's a very curious cougar, so she's coming out to say hi to us.
Yeah. Now we've seen she's kind of gone back in her den there. How indicative is, her retreating in the shade of a wild Florida panther?
I think that it's the perfect way to talk about the wild panthers because they truly are ghost cats. You won't see a cougar generally unless they want to be seen. Mm-hmm. That has been a fantastic advantage for them. It has also been a real challenge for them. And the challenge comes really in our ability to track them. If you were out in the African plain, for example, then it would be relatively easy to track and find the various creatures. But here, the Florida Panthers, and because of our sandy ground, a track that was left by the panther could end up being blown away in a breeze that comes later on, or destroyed in a rainstorm.
Yeah.
So they're really difficult to track, especially when they like to hide like this.
So on that topic of their habitat and of them hiding, we're sitting here looking at her enclosure, and we're looking out at what she gets to see, this natural Florida habitat. What would you ask to help return cats like Koya behind us into a natural habitat like what's in front of us here?
The first thing that we have to do is we have to move the public from being just the public to being an informed public, and realize that coexistence is going to be a lot of work of learning how these species survive in this natural habitat. And once we do that, then we can make those changes to infrastructures that will allow the corridors to be preserved. We can ensure that those areas that are strongholds are still protected. We can make sure that we are doing our own infrastructure in a smart manner so that we don't introduce continued contaminants to the environment. For example, with the Florida Panthers, many of them have mercury that has shown up in their systems and has been in their systems since the late 80s. That is a direct result of some of the practices that we as humans have had. And if we can protect the environment so that we're not causing those extra toxins to be out there, then their prey don't eat it, their prey don't concentrate it, and therefore the panthers don't get sick from it. So it's all part of this big web that we have to be part of and have to understand in order to make sure that we can keep them with us.
All right. Thank you so much, Simba. Storm's rolling in. We're going to have to take off, get going south. I also want to take the time to thank you, thank our organization, and everyone a part of Central Florida Animal Reserve for what they do for conservation, for the habitat, for the species in general, and just for the health of the environment as a whole. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Outstanding. See you soon.
Thank you. All right, so here we have it, the two super predators of Florida. Here we have the alligator, that's more of a crocodile, and here we have the panther. Great toys courtesy of the Everglades gift shop, but we're going to use them to represent the two apex predators. So we all know of the alligator. The alligator is basically a modern day dinosaur. These animals are built to survive. With their 80 or so teeth that are continuously replaced, and they can go through about 3,000 to 4,000 teeth in a lifetime, that are only made better by one of the strongest bites in the animal kingdom. Alligators and crocodiles have been recorded of having the greatest bite force of any animal alive today. Plus, their bodies are designed to survive. They have osteoderms as well going down their back, and their osteoderms are a bone skin that helps protect them from a lot of difficulties, a lot of adversities, fights with other alligators, the environment itself, but also the skin works as solar panels to help. You see, the crocodile and the alligator are what we call ectotherms, and the panthers are what we call endotherms, basically warm-blooded and cold-blooded. Now, we all know that the alligator and the crocodile, they love rivers like this. This is how they've adapted to survive. They stalk the shoreline and hunt within the water and at the water's edge. But the Florida Panther, the panther right now is a cat of the swamp and a cat of the woods. Though historically, the Florida Panther was found in all terrains within the state of Florida. And if you look at the species as a whole, you can really see how adaptable these cats are. Now, this is the Florida Panther. And the cat, in general, truly is a super predator. Let's start with the nose. The nose has got such scent receptors in there, it can smell way better than we can. It can smell for miles. Its eyes set it apart in the animal kingdom. Cats, like crocodiles, but more so, have a reflecting membrane in their eye that allows light to bounce off and shoot back out, so they can hunt in pitch darkness. And then of course they've got those adorable little ears that can rotate and pick up sounds and rustles so faint that we wouldn't even know an animal's there. And then we move into the body of the cat. You see, the panthers with their super long legs, or actually proportionally longer than the front legs, are the athletes of the forest. They are the super predators. They can jump distance that would blow your mind. A single small panther can jump 15 feet and take down prey 4 times of its size. It's built with high intensity muscle fibers. It's got a tail perfect for balancing. It's got claws that sink into its prey and don't let go, like Velcro on an animal. And then of course it's got the teeth to break in and kill. And then you put that all together, and right here you have one of, if not the top predator here in the state of Florida. And over the summer I dove in to the panther's habitat. All right, adrenaline's pumping. We picked up our companion for the trip. He's sitting right beside me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the true star of the wild hero. Everybody, put your hands together for Jameson! We have just entered the Big Cypress Wildlife Management Area. This is the heart of panther country, cougar territory, mountain lion habitat. Though you can't really call them mountain lions around here due to the fact there are no mountains. Hence, typical term panther in these parts. Now, it is the heat of the day and the sun is directly above us, so they're probably not going to be too active. Let's go get camp set up, get some grub in our stomach, and then we're going to come out later as the sun starts to go down, get into the right spot to hopefully see a wild cat. But this area is also loaded with all forms of wildlife. Here we are. It's going to be our home for the weekend. Let's set up camp and let's go for a tour of the campgrounds, tour of the habitat, and then get our kit set up. Hopefully see some panthers later. Jameson's loving it already. Let's do something. Let's put this sticker somewhere. You see, one thing about me is I like getting little things from my adventures to, keep the memory of where I've been. And this one, well, this one means a lot to me right now because this has been an epic adventure and we're capping it off, James and I, with the coolest weekend out here in Panther Country. So, where should I put this sticker? Well, you know what? I think I've got just the spot. You see, last week when we were down in Croc territory and I was running out of water, I wanted something to remember that heat and the necessity to drink water when you're out on the water. So, got this Everglades water bottle. It's got my measurement on the side so I know how much I've been drinking in a day. And I think this sticker belongs right here. Just gotta get it flush on there. Because what would the Everglades be without the panther? And what would the panther be without the Everglades? It is an alliance, a wild alliance, that is keeping this species from the brink of extinction. And it's an alliance I hope to continue, hope to strengthen in any way I can. Yeah. There we go. Everglades. Drink water. This is hot. It came clear to me that the task of ending extinction for the Florida panther and simply the ending extinction period is not going to be an easy one. But I have come up with a strategy to help overcome this great obstacle. You see, extinction itself is invisible. It's not a real thing. So how do we take extinction and make it a visible, manageable project for us to break down and start to accomplish and overcome and get rid of? Well, I found a great solution in a book written by a Pulitzer Prize winning author, E.O. Wilson, and he wrote a terrific book called The Future of Life. And it's within the future of life that he wrote about 5 factors, or 5 of the greatest threats to biodiversity on the planet today. We got H-I-P-P-O. It's a 5-letter acronym that says Hippo. And we're not talking about hippopotamuses over in Africa, those wonderful animals that everyone wants for Christmas. No, no way. We're talking about 5 serious and very dangerous threats threatening a lot of important wildlife, such as the Florida Panther. And of course, in the midst of a rainstorm, I found time to hide out in the tent and break it all down and come up with solutions for the future of our Florida Panther. Looks like the storm's here. Let's do up some windows. Okay, let's begin. You know, it's hiding out in a tent like this that makes me feel like a cougar in his den, just hanging out. So, how can we arrange this problem of extinction for panthers into something manageable, something we can break down and create lists off of, and see what we can do? This is a new day. Past is the past, we're starting. We're gonna start tackling that hippo. I'm talking about the Hippo of Extinction. The 5-letter force acronym that is killing this planet. So for H, the beginning letter, that stands for habitat. And what do we mean by habitat? We're talking about loss of habitat, pollution of habitat, and removing habitat from wild animals where they need to live. And we're not talking about just preserving the remaining areas. We're talking about growing the natural areas and hopefully creating a hybrid society and planet where nature and humans live side by side and prosper equally, and you know, everyone's fine. But anyway, jumping on. We got habitat. Next is I, and that stands for invasive. Invasive. What is it to be invasive? To be invasive means to be living in an environment that's not your natural home. And why you can't point fingers at the individuals themselves, it's not their fault they're here. It's not the python's fault that he's in these woods. You can't blame the snake. Unfortunately, invasives are us. We are to blame. And moving on, the first out of the 2 P's in a row is pollution. And we all know about that. Pollution is the infection of humanity. It's our wake, and it comes in many different forms. Then after that P is the second P, and it's a P that I can't believe is still around, and that is poaching. It's really coming down hard now. I can't believe poaching is still a thing in the 21st century. I understand that some humans have the instinct to assert themselves as the top of the food chain. So that means removing any sort of competition to them, and it becomes a sport. I understand if a farmer seeing the threat to his livestock, that's just a matter of not learning to coexist yet. But if it's just some guy looking to shoot a cat because he wants to assert his dominance, that sort of greed we cannot handle right now. And if you have a problem with that, you got a problem with me, you best let that marinate. So moving on, we have the final letter, and that is over-harvesting. And that falls in, same as the above letter, poaching. That falls in to a really nasty trait of humanity, greed. And so with that, we have our challenge. 5 letters that if we can erase one by one, we can wipe this clean. I think we can save the cats. And I think it's doable. It's not too late. Just because they're going doesn't mean they're gone. Now that we've addressed the issues and we've put them in their bins and put them in our categories, let's start talking about solutions. How can we fix them? Let's go back to the handy dandy whiteboard. This time, instead of writing down our issues, let's write down our solutions. H, habitat. What can we do about the habitat? Well, we can preserve the existing habitat they still have. Panthers have had their range cut down to the most smallest percentile compared to their former range. They used to live from here, the southern tip of Florida, the corner of the swamp, from here all the way through Virginia, Tennessee, New England, Ontario, Canada. They were everywhere. They were the stuff of legends throughout so many states. Pioneers feared the lion of the woods, the catamount. But today, they've all but evaporated. So what can we do? Well, let's give them a strong foothold here. Let's give them somewhere to maintain their strength, but at a certain point, these cats are going to move. So there is no way these remaining preserves are ever going to be big enough for a comeback of this species unless we start giving some of this land we've taken back. That will make it easier for panthers to travel from here up to the top of Florida and then back to their native range. Let's give them room to grow. And let's move on to the next letter. I. What can we do to prevent invasive problems from further preventing the panther's comeback? We'll start. So, the first thing we can do to stopping the invasive problem is doing better with our pets. Second, we can work harder at getting the already invading critters out. And I'm talking about the pythons. We can work harder at getting the pythons out. Alright, let's move on to pollution. The problem with pollution is a titan working for extinction. But we can kill that titan. And we can fix this. What it's going to take takes us going out and picking up other people's trash. Some of us are going to have to work harder. And if I have to, for the benefit of a wild animal, not getting a plastic ring around its neck and dying, then I will. I'll do whatever I can. But why don't we work together? Let's start more beach cleanups. Let's start more trail cleanups. Let's give these natural places a cleanup that they deserve so that these wild animals have their house back without the threat of our trash killing them. Other things we can do is we can enforce as consumers that the large manufacturing companies do better about coming out with decomposable products. So even if it does wind up here where it's not supposed to be, it won't be around for long. We're already making great strides, but we can do better. Alright, so let's move on. Only 2 more to go. We can do this. This will be easy. The second one is poaching. I don't want to talk about that. It makes me furious that this one's still on here, so we're just going to move on to over-harvesting. The over-harvesting, well, that's another easy fix. Come on. We just need to be a little bit better at the grocery store. We could be a little bit better about our consumption. We don't need as much as we do. And what we do need, or what we want, let's just make sure it comes from a clean place. And that it doesn't leave a footprint behind that does more damage. So, we have our 5 solutions, or our 5 problems. For the HIPPO, Hippo. If we can at least get 3 of these letters taken care of by ourselves, I think the cats will appreciate it. And we can keep them wild.
You know, one of the wildest things about the state of Florida is its weather. Even right now, the calendar says that it's fall as we are in the month of October. But I tell you what, it still feels like summer, especially for this Canadian.
But then again, now that I think about it, this was nothing like summer. Summer down the southern swamps of Florida was hot, sticky, and wet. And it was nothing else but what you would expect to find in the swamp. But Florida truly does get thunderstorms that will blow your mind. Sometimes we have torrential downpours I swear could fill a bathtub in minutes. You see, Florida has the traditional 4 seasons that most of the continental US has. You know, fall, winter, spring, and of course summer. But those 4 seasons are also added to by the tropical seasons that Florida has, meaning the wet and the dry seasons. And all this weather activity and all these seasonal changes just increases the crazy biodiversity this state has. We've got trees of all sorts. I mean, I'm standing beside a palm tree. Over here we've got an oak tree. Over there we've got a pine tree, plus all the vines growing up. The amount of plant life in this state blows away a lot of the other states. And living, of course, within the forest and the rivers and the swamps are the animals. And there's a lot of animals that, you know, we just take for granted. There's the amphibians. Amphibians love Florida. We've got toads and frogs of all sorts. And speaking of biodiversity, when I was on my trip in the heart of the Big Cypress, I found amphibians like you wouldn't believe when I went out one night looking for that elusive panther. Panthers, you know, they're very, very hard to find. But if you keep your eyes open, when you're looking for them, you're gonna see so much more. Check it out. Well, I see blue sky. I think we should go out and explore a little bit more. Who cares if we get wet? It's a free shower anyways, and plus four-wheel drive if you don't get to go play in the puddles. There's always something rejuvenating about the forest after a heavy rainfall. You just smell the forest, smell the pine trees, smell the rain still. I think something's moving around. Let's go see. If not, it'll be a big splash. Well, if this is the most accurate interpretation of Florida weather for you, raging storm behind us, blue skies in front of us, and we're stuck in the middle. I feel like there's got to be a gold pot around here, because I reckon there's a rainbow right on top of us. Nothing like a drive on a rainy day. Just a little bit more water for the environment. I gotta tell you, during the summer down here, this water cycle is so active. As we creep through here, you can see how this habitat is perfect for panthers. So many opportunities for them to slip through these woods unseen, stalking creatures of all sorts. I've seen loads of deer, I've seen lots of birds, no panther yet. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, 1,000 feet high, but they're out there, and this is where they're gonna be. This is the last remaining untouched habitat where they're finding solace. So if they're gonna be anywhere, they're gonna be around here. Well, unfortunately, so there's a couple thunderstorms. What do you say, Jameson? I think he's excited.
Jameson and I have come out to this little canal to look up and down to see if another apex predator is lurking right now. The alligator. Just coming out to a clearing here. I'm just gonna poke our nose out and slowly roll out. So I reckon if I was a little deer coming out right about now to get a cool drink of fresh water after the storms taking the humidity away, getting a little sweet grass to eat. If I was a cat, come for the deer right around here. So this clearing might just look like a regular grassland, but it is actually a giant moving lake. It's a river. It's the river of grass. And this is one of the greatest floods on the planet. Greater than, I'd say, the Okavango in Africa, or it used to be. Slowly and slowly, this great body of water, this giant aquifer that so much depends on, is being drained. It's being evaporated by the greed of man. So when we think about HIPPO, the hippo, that last one, the O, over-harvesting of fresh water for our own needs. We gotta find a way to turn the taps back on for nature. So much is out here right now. Especially amphibians. And amphibians are such a vital role of the food chain. There's a lot of things that like to eat, unfortunately, frogs and toads. So they support a whole bunch of other animals that are dependent on them. It's a road like that one, you just know it's got a panther somewhere on it. It might not cross when we are there, but you know he's out there, she's out there. Absolutely magnificent. These birds are migrating home to their nighttime roosts. Now, this is not the harmful cottonmouth water snake. You see how muscular it is. How it's able to come back up on itself. Don't bite Eric. Please don't bite Eric. Turn around. It's okay. It's okay. He's got the bands on his chins, and so you know it's a little. So I think it's a southern water snake, or it might be a banded. Water snakes, they all look very similar. Fascinating. I think he's a southern. So when he's coming, there's a canal right over here, and there's some woodland over here. So he's probably just up, sunning on the road, soaking up the last bit of the heat on this road. He's gonna go find himself some dinner tonight. Gorgeous, thick, healthy. Absolutely fascinating. Definitely didn't have these in Canada. We're gonna let him go. Bet there's more out there. Wow. So you can tell right now, it's definitely baby snake season. These baby snakes are all coming out. They're coming out to cross the road. Nighttime's the best time to do it. Go, go, go. This street is loaded with them. If you don't pay attention, as it's come along, you'll clobber it. So I'd stop and make sure they all get safely across. Don't get out of the truck every time, but go, little guy. So that's another little guy safely across the road. Jameson's completely entertained. Now, it is the wet season, so a lot of reptile babies are probably going to be out tonight. They time their hatch and their emergence to life right when things are best suited for them. Little oak toad always making a noise. Now this is what the snakes are coming out to eat. Look at them. Now I'm just making sure he gets out of the road. Everyone gets a chance tonight when I'm around. Have a go at this guy. Just chilling out on the road. You know, a giant bullfrog, or it might be a green frog. But this is a true frog, different than that toad earlier. You can see those huge webbed feet help him powerfully swim through the water. And man, can they leap. They can leap like 10 times the size of their body. I think he's eyeing me up, and those eyes on the top. Now, the thing about these guys is they always need to be wet. If they get dry, they're in real trouble, but I don't think they have a problem with that down here in the south of Florida. Now, a lot of people like to eat them. Look at those legs. Look at those frog legs. Great for jumping. Great for survival. Also a delicacy here in the south. And that green coloration helps them blend in. I think he's kind of cute. Some people think frogs are gross, but not me. He's out here eating all the bugs. Getting a bite to eat. I'm sorry I bumped your nose. And boy, do they have a nose. Look at that. That forked tongue flicking. It's tasting the air. Alright, here he is. Oh, he's a feisty little guy. This, my friends, is the third largest snake species on the planet. Or it could be. This is the Burmese Python. The invasive Asian species coming into Florida because of man now. And it's also got pits on the tip of its snoot that actually allows it to sense warm objects in the night. These things are designed to survive. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, but you don't get to go home tonight. Jameson, move over, we got company. There's no way I could bring myself to dispatch this snake. Might have to, but first I'm going to see if I can find a way to keep its life. They're not monsters. People hate snakes for so many wrong reasons. They're absolute treasures. Definitely something we didn't have back home in Canada. Alright, come on. It's gonna be fun going to sleep tonight, thinking about what lives around here. This has gotta be one of the most remote places in Florida. It's my mission to explore all of them, this place and all the other remote areas of Florida, the US, and beyond.
No panther sightings that one night, unfortunately, but all the other animals we got to meet were truly an honor to see, especially that python. I'm happy to say the python has now found a forever home where he's going to be an ambassador and example for invasive species here in the state of Florida and hopefully that will keep them out and keep the panthers from being choked off by the, invasive pythons. But the next day, Jameson and I headed out to continue exploring, and as we did so, I started thinking about each individual critter I've met over the summer and how each individual critter in its own life, just like I'm living my own life, is trying to survive, is trying to find food for its belly, is trying to find a way to carry on the future of its species. And what really breaks the heart of the wild hero inside me is the damage that a lot of us who, even though we're trying to do a lot of good things for the environment, the damage we're still doing that we don't even know. For example, when it comes to amphibians, you see amphibians, they need water. If amphibians dry out, the frogs, the toads, they're in serious trouble. So they need to stay in the rivers, the lakes, the ponds, the streams, anywhere where they can stay moist. But unfortunately, our waterways are becoming extremely toxic. It doesn't help that agriculture and human society is reducing the amount of water available for wild animals. But on top of that, the water we are leaving behind, we're making toxic through fertilizers, pesticides, car soaps, you name it. Even though it happens miles away from a water source, it gets in the ground and it moves out to the rivers. And it's out here where those frogs and toads are living, if not already in your backyard. And those toxins, even though we think we're just doing a small area and we're getting rid of maybe a weed with a pesticide, it can cause a frog to come out of a tadpole metamorphosis with an extra leg, or with no eyes, or with even worse side effects. So we need to find the wild hero in all of us to change slightly our habits when it comes to our backyard routine. A lot of us like having a nice, crisp, clean backyard with a manicured grass and perfect shrubbery. But that actually causes a lot of damage. And there's a way to have both. There's a way to have a beautifully manicured lawn and have natural elements in it and have a clean yard so that the frogs, the birds, the insects, everything that comes to your backyard or the water sources nearby don't have to take in those terrible, terrible toxins such as mercury.
So Jameson and I have decided to take a little back road through a state park here in the absolute southwest corner of the state of Florida. Just south of us is 10,000 Islands, Everglades City. North of us is the Florida Panther National Wildlife Refuge, Naples, and the Tamiami Trail is just south of us, and Alligator Alley is just north of us. Anyway, so what that means is we are in a corridor of natural habitat that is what Florida looks like, or would have looked like, hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, when the first settlers got here, when the first Spanish conquistadors got here, when the Indians would push their way through here. You could only imagine the struggle it must have been. He and I, we get it easy. We're sitting in the big comfy truck and we're trying to dodge potholes the size of craters. Folks back then were dodging cats, crocs, snakes, disease, combative Indians, just so much more. But I'm almost jealous in a way, because that would have been true adventure. This is sightseeing. I hope our sights see a panther soon.
Well, it appears we made it back to camp just in time for a free shower and to, close some windows. Who doesn't love a free shower? If it's our last day, why not embrace it? We can open up everything tomorrow when we get home and dry it out. It's not like we have to worry about wet stuff from here on out. It has been an adventure, and I'm so happy we have ended it here at Big Cypress National Preserve. And this rain,
It's the warmest rain I think I've ever experienced. Back home, when it rained, it got cold. Here in Florida, when it rains, it's wonderful. We're out having a little walk in the rain, splashing the puddles. Now, one animal that we actually haven't seen yet, which I'm a little surprised by, bears. This place is called Bear Island. There's bear-proof trash bins all around us. You know, some people they hate the rain. Me, I'm a rain person. When it starts raining, I start having a good time. This is incredible. This is the engine of nature. This is the life force that keeps this whole place pumping. Water. But more than water, it's life. And as it pours down, you can feel the earth just soaking it in. You know the entire food chain is smiling right now, because this is what it is to be in the south of Florida during the swampy season of summer. It's absolutely apex. It's wonderful. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else right now. What a walk that was. What was the forecast thinking when it said 20% chance of rain? Well, this 20% is gaining 1,000% of water.
So the St. Johns River is another very important habitat, just like the Florida Everglades, for both are home to such a wide biodiversity, from reptiles to amphibians to birds to fish to mammals. All of them depend on the St. Johns River just as much as the animals of the South depend on the Everglades. Now, both are under serious threat from human society, from the human species. And on this adventure, I really dove in to the problem of understanding how we can coexist with such an apex predator. I went and met with folks at the Central Florida Animal Reserve. I went into the heart of the remaining Florida wilderness with my good, faithful companion, Jameson. And what I came home with was a story I'm excited to tell you, and it's a story of hope. It's a story of a new dawn. The past is the past. What we've done in the past has been horrible. We have to accept that, and we have to move on. Such an adventure down in South Florida. It was wild weather, it was a wild adventure, and it ignited a wild fire in my heart. It's kind of, sad to come home empty-handed, and I was able to find someone who actually has trail cams down right where Jameson and I were. He shared something with me that I'm sure will be some of the most mind-blowing images I've ever seen in my life. These are images I haven't got a chance to see yet. I don't want to wait any longer. I've got them sitting right here beside me. Here's the footage of these gorgeous cats. The first one is nighttime clip. Oh my. Each frame, each clip is its own. Look at that, it just sneaks through there. No footprints, no tracks, no scent. It's moving around that water. It is leaving no evidence behind. And it's moving in probably the depths of night. These cats are nocturnal cats. That's why we never see them, but they're still there. It doesn't mean just because we don't see them, doesn't mean they're not there. And it goes for all animals, big and small. Just because we don't see them or they're just not seen in our hearts, doesn't mean that they're not there, or doesn't mean they don't deserve our love and protection. Looking at this one, mountain lion doesn't suit this at all. This is not a mountain lion. This is a swamp cat. This is a Florida Panther. Wow. Okay, and now here comes the second one. This one's in daytime. A little heartbreaking to see that cat. It looks like it could use a little meal. Looks a little skinny. It's probably within healthy standards, but you know, that is one of the greatest losses for the Florida Panther is the food. There's just no more food to feed these cats, particularly the raccoons. You see, that's where the pythons really come in. The pythons, they have eaten basically all the mammals. And the irony is we've got loads of them up here. We've got raccoons, hares, possums, so much panther food, and we've got no pythons. We just have to find a way to get these cats back up here, and that's through the use of natural corridors, such as the area around us here in Central Florida and the St. Johns River. If we can find a way to get these cats from their native ranges at the moment, I'm sure we could give them what they need to get to the rest of Florida and the rest of the nation. If each state is willing to protect these cats, I'm sure we can get them to you. But look at this poor cat up to its ankles. You know, I know tigers love water, but I don't think panthers are so fond of it. Those pads are so sensitive in the claws. And so this whole thing just circles back to Hippo, Mr. E.O. Wilson's great acronym. If you can find a way to bring Hippo into your life and help find ways to find personal solutions within each region. All in all, the balancing is really, really out of whack right now. And if we all take a little initiative in all those areas, it doesn't have to be a lot, but if we all take a little, we can start saving species like the Florida Panther. We can start saving our planet, and we can really, really move out of the dark ages that I feel like we're slipping into, and into a light that humanity and this planet has never seen before. And for the sake of the cats in these videos and the cats I didn't get to see, I think we should really, really try, and I think we should all try together. Anyways, you know, this is only another story of what has been the ultimate summit, and we're not done yet. We're gonna finish this up by talking about the state's most prehistoric predator, a group of predators that have lurked around Florida for epic millions of years. The shark. Let's go.